What, Greg?
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
What about South Africa?
There's a country like in the middle of it. Like there's Swaziland on the whatever coast that'd be the East Coast, and there's a country named Lesotho in the middle of South Africa.
Really?
Yeah, dude, look at Google Maps. I mean,
Oh, I see it.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to,
yeah,
but I am.
dude, it's like the Pretoria of South Africa.
What is Lesotho?
I
Landlocked
dude,
kingdom.
that's what I'm saying, dude.
Huh.
It's crazy.
Anyway, guys, welcome to episode 22 of the G&G Cast. I'm your host. It's bread time. No crouton today, but in his stead, I'm joined by Subliminal Cheese.
So, dude,
Good to have you on, man, and Wayne
my
Gregsky.
pleasure.
You say something.
Oh,
Just
big fan of the show. Big
thanks.
fan of the show.
All right, thanks.
Cool.
It's been gaming Super Bowl this weekend. Fanboys come out of their basements, or maybe not, because streaming now is a thing, to watch the big event. It's E3 out there in sunny Los Angeles, I believe is where it's at, or wherever it
Yeah,
is
you're
in
right.
Southern California that's warmer and
Has prettier people than Columbus,
prettier,
Ohio.
prettier people than on here. Yeah, prettier people than Columbus, that's for sure. Anyway, this is gonna be a bit of a shotgunned approach of a show. We had, if you can't tell, we plan everything extremely well. If you're watching this live, it's at twitch.tv/grenades and goblins. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/grenades and goblins. Make sure you're following and subscribing on this, respective websites rather. We live streamed with live reactions pretty much most of the big conferences. We did Bethesda, Microsoft, Sony, and Ubisoft. I think everyone was working today during Nintendo's, but it was a pretty short one. There are some talking points for those. We're just gonna talk about a couple things that we saw in a positive light, or things that we heard that we thought were cool, and then some stuff maybe that's a little more negative. Some general thoughts, and maybe within the next couple weeks, once the conference ends and the dust settles, we'll actually have some time to get down and dirty with it and dissect some of the information that we've been presented. Because as of now, there's still dates. It's been weird. Like, there have been a lot of games getting dates for later in the fall in 2018 that they weren't even shown at press conferences. There were small announcements made during pre-shows, so no one really knows what's going on. Anyway, we'll start off. Bethesda started off the weekend. I know Greg was very disappointed. I know Cheese was half and half. I was a little more on the positive side, but we'll start just talking there. Something that you saw maybe in a positive light, if there was anything you could take out positively, and something you saw negatively. I'll start by saying that I thought Wolfenstein looked really good. The new Wolfenstein, the new Colossus, I think it's called. That game looked like a trip, and I think the Evil Within the Evil Within 2 looks. They developed a pretty rad trailer for that as well, but no gameplay. Well, hardly any gameplay until the very end there, so we don't really know what's going on. But both of those games are confirmed for this year, which is another positive thing I'll take out of Bethesda's conference. A lot of people are upset that there weren't any surprises, and I get that. But for me, I thought it was the one thing that I thought was refreshing was that all the games that they did talk about are either out already or out this year. Like, they weren't being like, hey, 2019, which
Right.
is something that I can't say for all the other ones. But they're that's just different strategies, I suppose. I'll throw it to you guys now.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool that they announced VR support for some games. I
Yeah.
think that'll be interesting to see how
Yeah.
they actually integrate movement. Hopefully, they do something cooler than the point and teleport, which I don't know if there's a better solution out there yet, but we'll see what happens.
Mhm.
Um, that's
Doom VR
that's my
looks
take.
cool.
I mean, that's just pretty much my take, because I don't really have any interest in the Evil Within franchise.
Mhm.
think that's a little bit on the downer list on my Bethesda titles. And I didn't have a PS4 for the first Dishonored, so I can't really speak to the fact that they have a second one now.
No,
Um,
I have a Dishonored code you can just have.
oh, cool. Yeah, then I'll definitely check it out.
They're great games, man.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I just have never gotten to play it. So, I mean, for me, it was just kind of, part of it's my bias of what games I have played, and that Bethesda doesn't rank over the top for me. But
Yeah, they
I
don't
didn't
make
really
games
have
you
a
like
lot.
that much.
Yeah, some of it was accessibility for me. Some of it's just that it's not my cup of tea.
Fair.
But yeah, I mean, they're Bethesda. They do cool things. So I mean, they like pushing limits of gaming. So I'm sure something cool will come out of what they're doing new. Like I'm sure there'll be some sort of interesting gameplay that comes out of it. Like Wolfenstein is not exactly a game I seek out, but I think it'll be cool.
I think
it's
I
a
think
cool
you'd like
game.
Wolfenstein. It's like totally
Oh no,
tongue in
I'm
cheek,
sure.
like weird.
I'm sure I'd like it. I'm not huge into steampunk type of stuff.
It's not steampunk though.
It feels steampunk with those big ass robots.
Yeah, I guess there are some steampunk elements, but I don't know. Dishonored steampunk. So if you don't like
Sure, same
steampunk, I
with
wouldn't do that.
Order 1866
Oh, that's
or
true.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'll kick it to Cheese because I don't really have too much more to say.
Cheese,
on
before
that note.
before you go, let me interject really quick.
Yeah.
Can I just say I really hope we don't see Skyrim at E3 next year, because Jesus Christ, like how many
Yeah.
it was at Sony's press conference and it was at Bethesda's, and they mentioned it with Nintendo. It's just like, gee, like that game came out 6 years ago. It's awesome. It's coming to other platforms. No one cares anymore. But the VR, VR. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, Cheese, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad you said that, because I was going to say something in that same vein, with really beating that horse for some reason. I know it's like the breadwinner, pun intended, but fuck me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought we're just speaking Bethesda right now, right?
Yep. We're just starting
okay,
with Bethesda. We'll just go
So-
through each conference and
Yeah,
talk
no
about
problem. That was one I did actually have the pleasure of watching with you.
Mhm.
And for me, highlights, like in order, if I can get it right, Fallout VR is maybe enough just to convince me to buy VR without even ever trying it. Like that's very, very exciting. That's a highlight for me. Wolfenstein was a highlight. The trailer looked cool, but I've never really spent a lot of time with those games though, so I could probably take or leave it. Same with Evil Within 2, though I'm more invested in that, I think, because I liked the first one.
Mhm.
So, but I thought the trailer was dope for that. The paid mods was a definite negative.
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird how they sold that to us.
Yeah, they were like showing like, oh, it's Creation Club, and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they did some tongue-in-cheek stuff with like the horse armor and like mud crab armor and shit.
And they were even kind of like, hey, you guys have been enjoying really good free mods for a long time. Well, here's all of that stuff. Now you can pay us for it. Like that was how they sort of put that on the table, I felt like. And that was weird.
Yeah, it seems weird. Like
Misplaced.
at that point, it's almost like you just make DLC, but it's almost like they're trying to like find a way to like farm out. They find people with good ideas, they farm it out, they get their correct licensing for it, and then they're like, all right, you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah,
And
I don't.
And
didn't feel right.
I'm definitely one that's like, all right, I want to pay people for their work. Like if the DLC's good, I'll pay for it. But when you're doing like mods and shit, it just comes off a little bit skeevy. Because I remember Steam got a lot of shit when they first tried to pull this, and they were doing it alongside Bethesda for like Fallout and stuff before they retracted it.
Right.
And now it's really cut. Like it's like someone in a boardroom somewhere is like, no, we really have to push this,
Yeah,
and they
we're
put it
doing
in,
this, right.
and it's just. I don't think anyone anywhere has been like, hey, this is a great idea. I don't think mod creators really benefit because they get donations, and I don't think the consumer benefits. I think the only people benefiting from Bethesda, which is I don't know.
That's how it feels. Very much feels that way.
If someone can present to me a scenario in which everyone wins, like I welcome listening to it, but it just feels. It feels scummy.
Mods, like,
it feels
CS:GO
scummy,
skins
doesn't
in
it?
some way.
Yeah.
It does feel
Without like the market, fluctuating.
Yeah.
You could just set a price for your own mod, and Bethesda takes a cut, like it's the Apple App Store or whatever.
Yeah.
Fine, but like, when it comes to like Bethesda creating it and kind of controlling other people's. I think it's actually their own IP. That's an interesting way to go with people who have devoted so much to their game that they've created better versions of it or different versions of it. But whatever, they don't ask us.
If they, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way for them to frame it in which I'd be okay with it. If they were like, okay, we're presenting this now, like, because when you said, CS:GO, when you said CS:GO, like treating a game as a platform, if they're like, okay, we want to treat Fallout as a bigger platform, we're gonna keep working on continuous like DLC for it because we know you guys love the world. And a way to help fund some of this is to do some of our creation club stuff and work with some of these mod creators. I think some people could maybe forgive it. No, I mean, but they have so much money anyway. It's one of those things. But I'm trying to think of a way that I could even sell it to myself, and I'm having a hard time doing it.
Really tough.
I don't know. I'd like to hear some other opinions on that. So make sure you leave a comment or tweet at any of us. Except for Greg, because Greg never looks.
Even the actual visual examples they gave of the mods, you could
well, the thing is
that impressive.
The visual. Well, yeah, they showed some of the guns and stuff, which it's like, okay, that's cool, but that's stuff I can go get for free right now. Right. And then the stuff they did tongue in cheek, like the horse armor, which was like a big. I remember that being a big point of contention with DLC. Like that was what almost the straw that broke the horse's back in this case. With paid DLC, people being like, why the fuck am I spending $3 for horse armor in Skyrim? Right. That kind of stuff. So it just feels really tone deaf that they tried to bring that back out when they had so much other cool stuff they could have talked about. Like Bethesda,
well, they could have just not talked about it at E3.
Yeah,
you can slip that headline through another time, but at E3,
just
when you're the opening big studio other than EA, I mean, the floor was theirs, and they chose to show Skyrim and paid mods.
Yeah.
And Quake Champions League, which nobody cares about.
They're
a characterless game.
I don't know. There are a lot of people that care about Quake, so I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
There. I just think it's weird.
It's just a bad Overwatch.
I just think it's weird that I wouldn't say that because Quake was way before Overwatch in sense. So this is an arena shooter, so it's totally different. Not opposed to Overwatch. But what I will say about the Quake presentation is I just hate when people do those canned esports things where look at you could be doing this and really trying to push it as this is their thing, oh, I'm playing at home and all of a sudden, whoa, I'm on a stage with my team in our jerseys. I'm just it just feels so disingenuous when companies do that, press it as an esport. I feel like games almost have to be successful and then the esport rises out of it. You know what I mean? You saw that with Rocket League, kind of they added spectator, better spectating and stuff because it's popular to watch. You look at what people did with Overwatch, they're trying to force those leagues and it's almost not working as well.
Overwatch. You look at Hearthstone and they had too much competition and the game wasn't ready for it, but it still blew up.
Yeah, it blew up because they did it for themselves.
Competition was not meant to be a thing with it, but those charity tournaments that they started off with, they had insane viewerships. Nobody really thought of that being a esport type of potential game, but it looks like they have quite the market for it.
Yeah, they're onto something there.
So I mean, they already have the esports community manager, I think, from Riot Games is now their esports. They have one of their community managers now running their esports community.
Did you guys
serious about it?
You guys see they announced the zombie mode for that shit?
I did.
What shit? PUBG?
I did. That looked cool. Yeah, that sounds cool. You can play as a zombie and survivor. We'll see what happens with that. That's gonna be I think DLC.
I'm not sure what the deal is with that.
It's not gonna be part of the full game, but part of
their next we'll have to see what happens with community servers and stuff.
Finish the game first, please.
I would like to see PUBG where you drop. Wait, before we get into PUBG, this is a perfect way to transition to what I want to talk about next because Microsoft and Xbox had their presentation. They actually landed something, Greg, you've talked about and we've all talked about at length, something they had to do, some sort of coup to get PUBG on their console. And they did, which is one of the bigger announcements. They actually had PlayerUnknown there at their E3 conference, which the thing Microsoft did, they kept saying launch exclusive and then exclusive, and their messaging was really bizarre, and it just I think it was almost intentionally put out there to confuse, but it is eventually also going to be coming to PS4. I read.
I feel like
But
it's something where they're in contention to get exclusive rights, and they haven't locked that down yet.
Mm.
But that's just my read into that.
I just think it's harder. It's hard for them to get people to buy in exclusive, especially a big game like PUBG, just because of the install base on PS4. So they'd have to pay them like an insane amount of money to turn down the potential money. But really cool, it's coming to console. Anyway.
Yeah,
That was to me, that was fast. Like I did not see that coming, to be honest.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were almost scratching their head because, you know, we play PUBG pretty regularly and think about all the bullshit that happens running on nice PCs. But this is going to be running on the most powerful console ever, TM, which they didn't hesitate to say 500 times during the presentation, and that's a good way to swing into the Xbox One X, which
sure.
just is
I love that meme of like the XX Xbox One, like capital X lowercase x.
Yeah. Yeah, your gamer tag.
It was good. It was good.
I saw some of the reasoning behind it was because the initials actually made it say Xbox One X, Xbox. But still, like, I can just imagine confused parents going in being like, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, I don't know, and some kid getting the wrong one, you know, like someone getting an S when they want an X, which, you know, who am I to be like, this poor kid got an Xbox One S, oh, that's woe is me. But still, like, you got to think about confusion from a consumer standpoint. It just seems like a really weird name.
Right, if you're a soccer mom and you're RAV4 going to pick up a games console from Best Buy.
Oh, come on, Honda CRV. Honda CRV.
CRV, fine, deal. And you see the one for $250 and you see the one for $500. Tell me you're not buying the S and being like, sorry, honey, I thought that's what you wanted. You know, like, fuck.
Yeah. But, you know, true 4K gaming on a console, it's pretty cool that they made that a possibility. The thing that they did when they hedged their bets a while ago that's really going to fuck them, pardon my French, is the Play Anywhere stuff. So they'll sell more games, but none of us are going to buy the console because we can play all the games on our PC.
Well, I might buy a PUBG for it on my PC.
You'll buy PUBG for the Xbox player. God damn it, Greg.
How does that work? If I have a mouse and keyboard, or does it like lock you?
No, well, so if you bought it, so the way Play Anywhere works, that doesn't mean cross-play necessarily. So they have the Microsoft storefront, and that's where you buy the games, but it has its own online community. Like there was a lot of issues with like games that didn't have people buy it. So Call of Duty's online experience was split between Steam and the Microsoft store. So there was like one guy who bought Call of Duty from the Microsoft store, but he couldn't play with anyone because there was no crossplay with Xbox, and the online community, he was split off from Steam. So they refunded him because he had no one to play with. It's just been like, I understand why Microsoft wants to push their own storefront because of the linchpin that Steam has on it, but I don't know. They're really fucking themselves with the Play Anywhere stuff.
Just kind of like picturing like the one guy who buys Call of Duty up, like
who does segment,
that? The PC Call of Duty through the Microsoft Store guy.
Yeah.
What is he doing today?
But the thing that's cool about it is, like, you know, look at Buck and I. We both played Gears of War 4 on our PCs because of this program.
True.
So, like,
true. It is cool. It is cool.
And then you look at like Forza and stuff. So if you had a 4K ready machine and these games are already up-resed for 4K, boom, you're already ready to go. I guess
it's great for the publishers.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So it's great for the people selling games.
Last of Us.
This could end up, I guess, being good for them because their exclusives could potentially get to a bigger market. But I just don't know. The other thing I will say is priced at $500 plus a 4K TV. Like, those are getting a little lower in price. My parents got a decent one. I don't know, I don't know much about the new formats because, there's all hertz and refresh rates and all sorts of shit that tech shit that I am really not tuned into like people being like, oh, that's not a really good 4K TV, or not true 4K or blah blah blah. But anyway, it seems like if you wanted 4K gaming and you had nothing, it could potentially be the cheapest way to get into it, as opposed to buying like a GTX 1080 with
Sure.
A 4K monitor, which still runs you a decent chunk of change with the case and everything else to build your PC. It's potentially the cheapest way to get 4K gaming to sit on your couch and play video games, which is cool. So I guess that's one positive I'd take out of it. I don't know what you guys have to say about it. The PlayStation Pro came out last year.
Like 6 months ago or something. Right?
But it's not true 4K. It's often up-resed, like from 1440p,
Okay.
and they pioneered this new technology. I can show you guys a video. The guys at Digital Foundry do a really good analysis of it. It's like as close to 4K as you can get without it actually being 4K. They did this weird checkerboard rendering process, but it's not true 4K like the most powerful console in the ever DM. I don't know. Do you guys any thought? I've just been running my mouth. Just shut me up whenever you want to say something.
Well, I think Minecraft will look really good in 4K.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious that they announced
Like,
Minecraft in 4K.
Joke, right? Like
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I mean it's cool, right? Like Microsoft had to do something.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is correct. Like, I mean, we talked about this before, but like, talk about cannibalizing your own users. Like,
Yeah.
how do you trust a company who's just like, yeah, that console did suck. Here's another one. But then again, everyone bought the Nintendo Switch and it sold out like crazy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, screw you, Wii U users. But like, necessary steps to end that probably won't go well. I think that's a lot to ask a player base when you're going to develop on a console that's probably not going to get adopted overly with a lot of strength. I don't know what they would have to do to get people to switch. I'm not going to be one of them. So I don't know what you'd have to do to get me to switch other than make it $300 and slap a game on it. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm again, this is something that I don't really have too much of an opinion on because this is not targeted for me.
Cheese, you seem to have a similar sentiment.
Well, yeah. I have, like, let's just say I don't have a horse in that race, but 4K is cool. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not in a position to like I've looked at it and seen some cool stuff and it looks great, but I'm not in a position where like that's even close to being on my priority list. Or like maybe if I'm an Xbox enthusiast, I'm singing a different song, but
well, so when
it's like a lateral movement to me. Like Greg's right, like the first Xbox was, I don't know.
The thing for me, it's like I've seen some 4K screens and yeah, it looks really good, but it's almost we're at the same point with almost like video game graphics now where it's like, okay, that looks really, really good still, but what I have now still looks really good.
Right.
Like 1080p still looks really good. Like 1080p to 4K, it's like, 4 times the resolution, whatever you want to say. But still, I don't know, just sometimes you look at it and you're like, all right, well, I could have a sick 1080p, video card for $200. Why am I going to spend $700?
You know what really bothered me about their conference?
It's just going to take time to get the technology to get cheaper. And then, before you go, Greg, it like Greg was saying $300, let's say 2 years down the road, true 4K TVs are cheaper and it's $300, I might be like, "Oh, cool, I'll put that in my living room." Fuck yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I'm with
that.
you. Absolutely.
But,
yeah.
this is early adopters. It's $500.
Yeah, it's 100% what it is. I think the thing that really bothered me about their conference is that they made an Uncharted clone and a Horizon Zero Dawn clone, or whatever you want to call the Scalebound Fallout game bullshit. And their release titles as well is going to be player unknowns on it. And as much as I complain about companies relying sometimes too much on existing IP, like I did with Bethesda and chat that one day, man, what a good time just to drop a Halo game. I mean, they have so many shells for that game. Like, just fucking slap Halo on that console for free, and like, maybe we're cooking with something here. Like, you could get people to buy that shit. Like, but then again,
You could simultaneously like reinvigorate a game in a platform that you have,
exactly. Like,
that you've invested in.
What a chance just to like show at the end like the Xbox One X or whatever the it's called. And then after that, just have Master Chief's head just like come out of it or something, and just be like, and then just show like a Master Chief edition and just tease that there's
Yeah.
gonna be a new Halo
I
coming out.
I
Don't
get
even show gameplay footage and just do that, and then everyone's talking about it today, tomorrow, and for another week. But they come out and they release.
I think
nothing
the
of it.
reception of Halo 5 was pretty lukewarm, so I think they had to go back to the drawing board with some of that. But yeah, dude, they're definitely there's gonna be some holiday bundles for that thing, and come
Yeah.
November, like you'll see it. They're definitely gonna do some special edition bullshit. I mean, just
Sure.
look at what Sony like. There've been like 40 different PS4s. Insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a white Destiny one, and since then there's been another white Destiny PS4 with a different design on it.
Right.
So I don't know. They'll definitely do that, but I think they just wanted to give the imagery they wanted to put out. They wanted to put the image of the Xbox One X in everyone's head, and
Sure.
to be
That
fair,
makes
to be fair, it looks good. I mean, it's smaller than the One S somehow. Like, I don't know how much I trust Microsoft as hardware developers yet, just because of the whole fiasco with the 360 back in the day.
Oh,
and-
that was so.
Yeah.
God, that was bad.
Yeah. And they intentionally made the Xbox One initially huge for that very issue, like just for airflow and stuff. And they've since
I can't. I still.
since done
That's
better.
even just thinking about that now. How many years later? That's
yeah. Do you remember? I just remember how many of my friends got the red ring and like
I got it.
yeah, all the
I never
people.
did. I was lucky.
Yeah, so was I. They would wrap their Xbox in a towel,
Oh yeah,
like,
I
towel
did that.
and stuff, and
yeah,
like
the
yeah,
whole yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But if
that
it,
blows
but if you
my
red,
mind that
but
they
if
were
you
just,
red
like-
ringed again, like it was you were fucked. Like after
It
you
was-
towel.
yeah,
The
they got
Error
worse,
74, I think. That was the only error
Oh
code I
my
got from them. Was
God.
like there's two of them. There's Red Ring and there's Error 74.
It was like
I got the Error
3 out of the 4. I forget how it went.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It was the 3 out of the 4. That was the red ring of
Yeah.
death.
Dude,
But,
what a controversy. That was
Oh
spicy.
my
The Red Ring of Death
God.
was spicy. I
They were
enjoyed
like,
that.
"Hey, this sucks. Yeah, put it out.
Yeah.
How much?
Um,
$600. Throw it out."
I had a buddy in Mike Romano who got this sick like deal from Best Buy. It was a year of warranty and it renewed if you had to claim it. And they gave you the purchase price. So every year he'd wrap it in a towel, get the Red Ring
Nah.
of Death, claim it, and then buy a bundle. That was the same price.
No way.
I shit you not. He had
That's-
like 4 different Xbox 360s. Best
But
Buy's out like a
disgusting
grand
and
on
brilliant
him.
at the same time. Wow.
Yeah. Genius.
He's
I
a
will
steady
say,
customer.
I would love to, even if just once, play Forza 7 on 4K. Like,
Yes, that would be cool. I mean, that's the best place to showcase 4K on almost all those
Mhm.
driving games. But
Yeah.
you could do that on PC, man. Find someone with a 4K rig.
You can also just take out that whip on the highway. Maybe go down to the
Yeah, you could see it.
Estonia.
You could
Go
see
find
it
some
in real
college
life,
kids.
bro. If you want to
Right.
go fast and furious like we are.
Shit.
Anyway, I want to keep moving because we have a couple more conferences to
Sure.
cover. But to wrap up
Yay.
the Microsoft conference, what I did like about it, they put a lot of emphasis on games. They mentioned they were talking about 42 games, and that was cool. EA's Anthem was on their stage with gameplay, and that's another Destiny like, but it looks kind of cool, man. A lot of people are hyped about it. I just wonder, that genre is so hard. It's easy to get your hook, like it's hooks into you, but how long is it before you see it for what the game truly is?
Right.
And the
right, right.
mechanics have to be good. So for Destiny, a lot of people got. I know you were in there, Cheese. Were upset with what vanilla Destiny ended up being, and especially after the DLCs, some people are mad about that. So first, it's a content issue, and then on top of that, what made a lot of people forgive Destiny was its gameplay, as in not from a story standpoint, but its solid shooting mechanics. So the mechanics also have to be good. So Anthem is a wait and see for me. It seems like a lot of people are super hyped about it, but we've played enough video games over our many years to know when things are a bit ambitious, and I think we're also a little bit cautious to get burned. So I just want to see a little more from that. I'm skeptical, but I'll say cautiously optimistic because I want you always want a cool game to succeed, right? You always want you want to see creators succeed, and you'll benefit from it. But we'll see what happens after that.
Doesn't EA have that new early access program too, like EA Players.
EA.
So
I think it's
maybe
literally
that's
called
what-
EA Access, isn't it?
Oh, really?
Something like that, yeah.
How
Yeah, so that might be a
convenient
way to
their
do
name is the initials for early access. Do you think they thought about that? like years ago.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
The other thing, there's one trailer I want to talk about, like just this game, like there are AAA games and everything, but one game that actually had me hyped. One thing that
Just
actually
Dance.
had me, yeah, Just Dance, was this
New.
this little trailer for this game called The Last Night, which looked like super Blade Runner-y. I posted it in our group chat in Discord if any of you guys are curious. You can look
Is
at
that
it.
what that was?
Yeah, that's what you were on the phone when I was talking to Greg
Ah.
about it. But it's this weird like cyberpunk, like dystopian. I don't know. Apparently, the original game, but the it's a mixed graphical style, and it just looks really cool, and I like the tone of it. So, I just want to see more about that game. I think every once in a while there's an indie title that like catches my eye. I'm like, oh man, I want to see what this
I've
is
never
about.
even heard of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to give kudos to Microsoft for actually achieving true 4K on a console. That's awesome. Probably not going to pick it up though until it's worth my money. And also for putting an emphasis on games, because what we were saying before the conference was like, hey, they really got to come out and show us why we need to play Microsoft games, and they definitely came out with a bunch of exclusives. And I'm sure we're even missing some, but we're gonna try and keep this tight hour, so we'll take some time to dive into some of that another time. Moving on, Ubisoft was on Monday.
Wait, real quickly.
Yep, go ahead.
Sorry. Just because you touched briefly on EA, I just want to say that Madden thing looked really freaking cool for a change. It's cool
didn't
to
see that.
in a
Could you-
space where there is zero competition.
Could you
that
explain?
They're releasing a full story mode of Madden. That's gonna be freaking fun, man.
Are they taking a
I'm excited. You
NBA 2K page?
Yeah, like you start out as a high school player, like they had in the past superstar modes, and it's actually just a full-on franchise. But it's not something where like it's like in 2K where like you have your own guy, but they give him a universal nickname, so it's completely warps in everybody, and then it's like an RPG, right? This is a complete story mode. It's just a normal linear story mode with your own interaction in terms of winning games and throwing the ball or running it. But it's completely a set alone story mode. I can pull up a link for it, but I just think it's cool that although Madden has no competition because 2K doesn't do it anymore and no other place can get the rights from the NFL to do it. I just think it's cool that they still feel the need to push the game. That's just cool to me. So I'm excited to see that. That's anything that they want to do to Madden to try to make it more worthwhile to buy at release is kind of cool. Because I usually just wait till if I want to buy Madden or NHL or NBA, I usually just wait till the playoffs and then I just buy it then. And then online you can get the updated rosters and then you just download draft classes, whatever. That's boring semantics.
Mhm.
But I'm excited about that. I like Madden a lot.
I hope it works out well for you, because I've tried it in 2K and it wasn't very good with the spike.
I enjoyed it. It was.
I heard it was really lame. But
Well-
if you enjoyed it, that's cool. And then also there was a FIFA one, and that one was really lame. It's also like they did a story mode. They brought him back for this newest iteration also, and everyone's like, "Why did you do that?" So I just hope that they can figure out to do. It's just always super cliched, so I hope they figure out a way to actually tell a compelling story that isn't just
it does get a little cheesy.
Rudy. But then again, I only play career mode and shit anyway, so it could be cool. I don't know. I wish I was better at Madden. So
It's called Long Shot.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of if it's corny or not, I think those story modes, and I know people didn't like the 2K16s was your nickname was Frequency Vibrations, and even if you're white, you have a black family. And,
yeah,
it was a little bit weird. All right, I get it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But I'm a white 5'9" Jewish dude, in real life and in that game. I made my guy Jewish.
That's too funny.
I took down all of his jumping stats and I made him a decent passer. Yeah, so I've got my sister who's this 6'5" black girl, and it's just wow, I feel at home, So, but no, I mean it's one of those things that those are just a side piece to the game,
Yeah.
They're one of Drake's many girlfriends, it's just a side piece, and You know, and if you want to fuck with that, then like, you know, by God, do it. If not, you got every other game mode and all the online play connected franchise, you know, so
Yep.
you'll be fine.
Oh, I hope
That's
that
kinda
works
my
out.
feeling on them. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I hope that works out. Anyway, moving on to Ubisoft. They finally announced the long rumored Mario plus Rabbids game, which surprisingly doesn't look terrible. Because I don't know, when I first heard rumors of that, it's like, okay, Mario, this tentpole franchise of all of video games. When you think video games, you think Mario, and then Ubisoft, what do they bring to the table? Rabbids. Just like, what? How is that going to work? And it turns out, like, and then there was leaked press releases with Mario with that like cannon thing, and they're like, okay, is it a shooter? What the hell is going on here? Is it an action game like Mario with guns? Like, what's Ubisoft doing? And it turns out it's a turn-based tactical game, in the vein of like Fire Emblem and XCOM and, you know, Final Fantasy Tactics, and it actually looks kind of cool and like super weird, and actually a little bit funny, and it takes Mario out of his element. And it was just such a weird way to start their conference, and I thought it was, I don't know, I'm just glad that it's one of those things. I've said this before. It's just like, I'm glad something weird like that can exist and actually get support and look like it's gonna be cool. I don't know. Have you looked
this
at?
is sort of unrelated. I just pulled up PC Gamer's like review or whatever,
Mhm.
and it says like after 3 or 4 paragraphs, like they're going like play by play on this
Of this game or what?
yeah, of Ubisoft's presentation.
Oh, okay.
And it said, hold on, where I just lost it. It says, then realizing that they hadn't done anything ridiculous for an hour, Ubisoft brought some robots out to dance to a Jamiroquai song, who were later joined by a panda.
That was
really weird. I thought I was tripping on something. Like I was.
That's like how they sold, like, then realizing they hadn't done anything ridiculous for an hour.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that jumps to like the middle of the conference. I don't want to jump over Mario too much, but yeah, they showed some Just Dance stuff. I remember everyone was being like, what the hell is going on? I'm just like,
Yeah.
I was just like, whatever, man, it's Just Dance. If you've ever seen any of those games, they're just weird, and they just wanted to probably showcase some of the moves on there and, you know, make it look really weird, because that's what Just Dance is. And that's another one of those things that's what's the quote from Fear and Loathing, like, too rare to live, and
Yeah, I don't know, but I know what you mean.
yeah, too weird to die or some shit like that. I'm totally butchering it.
It's a fine
Whatever.
game. It's
just like cool. It's just not for us. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a binary game. It's a 0 or 1. We're all zeros. No, we're all ones. We're all ones, baby. We're all ones. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. Did you guys have any thoughts on the Mario game before we like brushed past it? Like, just being.
I'm never gonna play it. It's like cool. I guess cool. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I was interested, and we were watching. I was interested, but I'm never gonna buy a Switch. I'm never gonna play it.
Fair enough.
It's like a goth music night at a bar. Like, I'm glad people have a way to express that, but like, I will not be there.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. I want to try it out. Like, I'm gonna get a Switch
Maybe.
someday, and I
Well,
want to
shit.
play it.
If you get a Switch, then maybe I will play it. But
Yeah.
I don't think
It looks
I'm never
it
gonna
looks
play
like a perfect game for me to play on the toilet. See,
There
on
you
the
go.
bus or something.
That's a good point, actually. The on the go shit you were talking about.
Yeah, man.
That's cool.
What else did I
Can we
talk
talk
about?
about the fact that they repackaged Assassin's Creed 4 and called it Skull and Bones, and they couldn't think of a better name than Skulls and Bones?
Yeah, Skull and Bones. I think it looks like a.
It looks like Assassin's Creed 4.
Well, you know
without
what?
An assassin.
You know what it seemed like is because everyone always when they talk about Assassin's Creed 4, they're like, yeah, that was just a good pirate game. It wasn't even a good Assassin's game. I had fun, you know, driving the ships around in the ship battles. And they were like, okay, everyone loves this. It's not going to fit in the Assassin's Creed series anymore. How can we make this into a game? I got it. I mean, it looks cool, but like pirates seems to be like the new thing with like Sea of Thieves at Microsoft's, and then this there. But you know, I think I'm always welcome to seeing a new IP
Just
enter the
Skull
fray.
and Bones though, like they couldn't even name it like Pirate Dudes.
I mean,
that's exactly what they named it. They named it Pirate Dudes.
Skull and
You know,
Bones
like-
is easy to remember, though. You know, Skull and Bones. There you go. Skull and
Yeah.
Bones 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I'll skull him with my bone.
There you have it.
All right, the hot takes from Greg.
Oh, other thing, it'd be really great if everyone could stop releasing freaking card games that all look the same.
Yeah, I was gonna
even
ask-
Jumping back to Bethesda.
Yeah, I was gonna
Well,
ask you if you would try that
Bethesda,
one.
South Park is having a card game. There
Yeah.
is no need for this, all right?
Is that actually a card game or what is that? It looks like almost like tactical and
no,
not.
Brad.
I'm gonna try it, dude.
There's actually like a bunch of card games that came out that are like tower defense card games with an interactive playboard, and they're interesting, they're fun, but like it's just like, by golly, you know?
Yeah.
I would agree.
Like, I know it's a really easy way to make money. Don't
Yeah,
get
I
me-
mean, you look at the mobile market, you have a franchise that's marketable. People are going to see that in store and be like, I recognize that. It's made by the people I trust. I'm going to pick it up. Like, you know, it's not shovelware if they have the name behind it, and then they're just, you know, then microtransactions out the wazoo, and then you're just you know,
Yeah,
they love the sound of their cash machine, Greg. That's like,
I know.
they love it. Yep, don't start
Oh,
singing
sorry.
though. All
Okay.
right. Assassin's Creed Origins kind of looks just okay. I was kind of hoping for, like, you know, I don't know, I want to see some reinvention of some of the gameplay, but it's just like, hey, look, we've got a camp here. You can tag enemies, some combat, and then you assassinate a guy. And I was like, oh, so that thing we did in every single other Assassin's Creed game? And
Right.
then like they showed him like releasing a lion and the lion going and fighting like another animal there. I'm like, oh, so you just incorporated that thing from Far Cry. And it's starting, like I was saying this during the live reactions bit, where like all their open world games are slowly becoming ambiguous. Like you look at Watch Dogs 2, like to Far Cry to Assassin's Creed, you look at all the characters and like moving through crowds and stuff, you see like the same animations and
Oh yeah,
and
you're
it, like
slapping
go
coat of paint on it.
yeah, Ghost Recon Wildlands. Like I was playing it and I was like, oh god, I feel like I've seen this before, and I realized that I had, and I don't know, it just gives me weird vibes. Like I hope it's good, because I think the Assassin's Creed series is cool, and I think being an assassin was cool. Assassin's Creed 2 was awesome. Greg, you played Black Flag.
Played every single one of them.
Yeah, we played 3. I think you and I sat down together and you watched me play
Mhm.
through 3 in my like tiny ass bedroom.
And 4.
Yeah.
I borrowed it from Thomas Dolan, and I still haven't returned it.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still wants it or not. It's been 4 years. I should call him.
Yeah, you should call him. Just be like, hey man, I
Do you
got this
want
game.
Black Flag back?
Yeah,
I know you live in New Jersey now. I'll give it to Frags. He'll give it to him.
Yeah, we'll give it to Frags. There we go. But I don't know if you guys saw any of that gameplay, but I was just like, all right. Like,
No, I would agree with near every word you just said. I mean, they lost me halfway through 4. Like I kind of forgot to play the end of 4, and I haven't gone back since. I used to be super invested in that series, but I just got bored.
yeah,
with
when they
playing the
when they
same
killed
game
Desmond,
over and
it
over.
like I had problem chasing the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was
So
just about to say something about that. Like,
I want this to be good, but I don't know, man. As of right now, I'm probably out.
Yep.
On day one purchase and
Well, it's
probably first month purchase.
I feel like it's almost like you should, like most of these games, you should be out for a day one purchase and just wait. Like you gotta wait and find the people you trust, because it's so easy. There's so many good games out there. Why bother? Like, why worry about buying a 6.5 if you can just wait a day or two and figure out and watch some gameplay?
Yeah.
I will be pre-ordering it.
You will?
I'm a resident Assassin's Creed apologist. I have played
Alright.
all of the games to their completion, and I will pre-order this.
That's fine. I'll watch you play the
And
shit out of it.
And I will tell you that yes, are all of their open world games becoming amalgamations of each other? Sure, but this one's in Egypt, man. It's so cool. Like, come on, we're gonna get to slide down pyramids, spears, a bird. You get a bird buddy. Who doesn't want a bird
Yeah,
buddy?
I am a sucker
Like-
for like that, but
Like, come on, like this is freaking cool. You're gonna get to go kill like mummies or some shit. I don't know, dude.
Kill
Like, it's gonna
mummies.
be dope.
Oh, at the end of the one trailer, they did show like a giant like serpent, like snake thing. There was some weird
Yeah,
supernatural
man. I could
vibe
be-
to that. It
I'm
could
gonna
be
feel
cool.
like Moses in Egypt, dude. They're talking about how the piece of Eden was what Moses used to part the Red Sea. Like, you got me, man. Let's talk about brosis. You know, like
Yeah.
let's go.
Speaking of pet buddies, they also showed some more Far Cry 5.
Mm.
And you have a dog buddy, which means I'm totally on board with that. And if he dies, I will crush everything around me. But it looks fucking weird, man. It looks weird. But it's definitely another Far Cry game. Super over the top. You're shooting guns. You're flying planes. You're causing
Yeah,
mayhem. You know, it's got the
it was
southern.
unmistakably Far Cry.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got the southern gothic vibe in Montana. You know, in a
Which I
lawless
like.
Montana.
That intrigues me.
I think this. It's weird. It's weird that we're in a world in 2017 in a world in video games where someone says we're gonna throw you in Montana, and everyone's like, "All right, yeah, cool, that's awesome, let's go."
Yeah, because like
Um,
the progression, then it was like what? It was Africa, and then like
the first
the
game you're out.
rainforest.
The first game you were in like the rainforest, and then you were out in
Yeah.
Africa, and then 3 was like a tropical island. 4 was like the
Yeah.
Himalayas, and now you're in
Himalayas. So
Montana.
yeah, you get four super exotic locations, and you're like, what do we do now? And someone's like, I don't know, Montana.
To be
Yes, that's-
fair, that's a complete list of places that I'll never go,
Yeah.
including Montana. So I gotta get to the point. So
Yeah.
fuck it. Might as well be through Far Cry.
And there, you know, there's
I like that setting a lot.
yeah.
That's fine with me.
And
Dust
I think if they handle the story well, like doing, you know,
Mhm.
make it creepy, give you a,
Mhm.
you know, they've
Fear
done
Fire.
they usually done a pretty good job of creating a main antagonist that drives you through
Yeah,
the story.
really good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember having a problem in 3 when they killed off the one guy like basically halfway through. Like, why would you do that?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
because he was brilliant. Like
yeah.
as an antagonist, brilliant.
Yeah, and then they just like killed him off, and that was it. So I mean, if they
I do
handle
like-
it correctly,
like
it could be cool.
Like the cinematic, like opening for Far Cry 5 the other day. Like it was like they're singing "Save Amazing Grace."
Yeah.
And like it's going through a church, and there's like just tattooed guys with guns everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're singing "Amazing Grace." I thought that was cool.
And they were like, and basically, it looked like they were doing some sort of cleansing of all the sinners in the area, and
Yeah.
and I think they mentioned you're like with you've got your hired guns. It looks like you're part of like some like you
Yeah,
had
like
your
a
crew,
squad.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that's cool. So that also makes me wonder if there's any co-op elements to it. Maybe
I
they
think they
incorporate some
mentioned
of the
it.
wildland
I think
stuff.
they
Did
mentioned
they?
co-op. Yeah. Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised
when
though.
they were doing like the roll call, like who you're gonna have as friends, and they threw the co-op in there.
Yeah,
So
cool.
you can play as the
I want a dog. Yeah, I'm dog. Deal done.
Also, speaking of co-op, A Way Out looked interesting enough for me to probably play it with one of you guys. On
That was EA, right? That was like
Yes.
early on. Yeah, that was a
Uh,
real.
what was it?
Here, I'll
A
I'll send
Way
you a
Out.
video of it.
Okay.
I actually did
It's-
mean to mention that. That was on my list.
It's a full co-op jailbreak sort of game. It just
Oh,
looked
I've
cool.
heard of it.
It looked really stylized, like Uncharted. It looked pretty similar with the third person and whatnot.
Here, I just found
Same sort
You
of
found
like
it?
camera leveling on it. I don't know. I can't believe there's not a John Wick game that's popular. I was watching John Wick 2 today, and I feel like I play as John Wick game. That guy gets a lot of headshots.
There's probably potential for that in the future. Problem is, a lot of games.
Yeah, like a Max Payne John Wick game. Like hell yeah.
I'd
why
like,
not?
man, I'd love to see Max Payne come back again.
And like you
oh, me
and,
too. The
and,
third
like-
one was amazing.
Yeah.
and you know what? Like a John Wick game, like a lot of movies to video games, it's like, yeah, like, but how are we gonna create all these enemies without it feeling like the movie? You can do that with John Wick pretty freaking easily because he kills so many people.
Yeah.
Everyone dies. He gets all headshots. Like if you complete the game without getting headshots, that would be more impressive, you know, or whatever. So I don't know.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about games that do exist. The Fractured
All
But
right.
Whole South Park that's coming out this year. It's been delayed several times. I'm gonna play it. I mean, I don't know. There's
I'm gonna
something.
play it.
There's something about there was something about playing that first one where it was literally like just playing an episode of South Park that was so compelling to me, like being like, oh, I'm walking around the town. It was like the same sort of stuff I felt when I played Simpsons Hit and Run back in the day. Like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
driving,
wow,
I'm
mhm.
driving to Quickie Mart, you know, like
Yeah, like that's that hook, line, sinker for me. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
that's a cool feeling.
and it, you know, the animation style is in such a way where they can literally do it 1-to-1. And
Oh yeah.
and there were small details like when you loaded back in, it did the da-da-dun,
Opening
da-da-dun. Yeah, like when
Uh-huh.
you come back from a commercial, and I was like, oh,
Yep.
that's great. Like it makes
Yep.
sense. And you know the humor's crude and it's gonna be in your face, and I mean, just
Yeah,
look at
they
the name
nailed
of it.
that game like
Um,
right on the fucking button, dude.
I
Perfect.
I liked the fantasy element of the fractured or the stick of truth more possibly, but I'm ready to go in to this one and see how they've improved the battle system, because in the stick of truth it becomes a little stale towards the end. You kind of fall on a
It's
couple.
tedious.
Yeah, you kind of fall on a couple sure bets and then just go from there. So I'm hoping, they deepen that.
I hope they buff the Jew class.
Yeah.
I felt a little bit harshly represented in that. So I really hope they give it some buffs.
Yeah, that would be great. Uh, further talking about games that didn't exist, but now that did exist and then didn't exist and now do exist again. Beyond Good and Evil 2 got a long trailer. I haven't played the first one. I've heard a lot of good things about it. Back in 2008, Ubisoft came out, I think it was 2008, they came out with a trailer for Beyond Good and Evil 2, and then somehow it got put on ice, and then they've been talking about rumors of Beyond Good and Evil 2 forever again. And everyone wants it, everyone wants it, everyone wants it. You know how fandom goes. And they gave us this super cinematic and totally CGI, no gameplay trailer. So who knows if that's all that exists of the game, but it exists again. So I don't know. It looks like one of those worlds I want to jump into. It's got this Guardians of the Galaxy vibe to it, and it's a prequel, so it could be a good jumping on point. People who aren't familiar with the series, but who knows when the hell that game's gonna come. So how long in development it is, or if any more news has come out since. But they closed the conference with that, and that was sort of their mic drop alongside coming out with a bunch of developers. I like that touch. They come out with all the devs because they're actually fending off that hostile takeover, Fendi. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any. I don't know if either of you played Beyond Good and Evil, but it's just what.
Never.
Did you guys see the trailer at all? Did you watch that?
Yeah, I'm rewatching it right now.
Yeah.
I was sort of half in task at work at that time.
But it looks. I don't know. It looks kind of wild, and I just don't know what kind of game it'll be. So it's just one of those like wait and sees. Exists.
It looks interesting.
Where are we at now? We're at 52 minutes, so we're gonna run through. We'll definitely have time to dive back into some of this another time, but we're gonna wrap up the show with PlayStation's conference. They did a tight hour late last night on the Eastern Coast, 9 Eastern. And yeah, well, they came out with games, and Greg, you were asking me about what I thought of the conference, and I'll just go through some of what they showed, and then I'll surmise how I felt about it. Sony's had some strong showings in the past couple of years. They've got a lot of games on the slate. They've been, what Microsoft is trying to do now, put emphasis on games, is something that they've been beating into our heads since they launched the console and kind of took this generation by storm. They came out right away and showed Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which totally on board with. Chloe was a great character from Uncharted 2. People were hoping to even see her more in 3 and 4, and we didn't really. Like, we got small. I think she was in 3 for maybe a short second, but not long. But she's a fan favorite character, and she's the playable character, and she's with Nadine, another favorite character of Uncharted fame from Uncharted 4. The difference being in this game, it looks like they showed like some of what their relationship was like and what they're searching for. It looks like they're out in India, which most of us already knew, but they have a bit of an antagonistic relationship as opposed to the relationship like Nate and Sully had, like buddy buddy. So that'll be a dynamic that's certainly explored. But it's Naughty Dog. Everything they touch turns to gold. So I think a lot of people are going to be on board with that, even though it's like going to be like $40. I'm just on board for more Uncharted. Then they quickly transitioned into Horizon DLC, the Frozen something. Let's see what it was called. Frozen Wilds, the Frozen Wilds. That's another one. It's like, oh wow, They got another tentpole franchise um, with Horizon, and I'm ready to see more. I don't know if Cheese, did you play Horizon at all?
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Oh.
Nope.
Do you have it? Because I have
Nope.
it. Okay, I have it on disc.
Okay, perfect.
Greg, I know you spent a lot of time playing that, and I think you'll be excited to see some more DLC out.
Yeah, I'm more excited just for more story out of the game.
I will say I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah,
But
dude.
Because there's nothing bad to say about the game
Never
other than like other than like usual open world complaints that I'll have about open world games, because open world games, blah blah blah. Yeah, no complaints about the game as a standalone product. It is as good as you can make what a game of its caliber.
There you have it.
And then there was one other. The hell did they
I didn't
show?
get to see any of this. This is all like news.
I didn't
to me,
see
by
the
way.
Detroit Become Human thing at all. That game always sounds interesting to me.
I'll get to that. Give me
It
just
looks
a
like
second.
a cooler Watch Dogs.
Oh, they showed Shadow of the Colossus remake, which I'm totally on board with. Shadow of the Colossus is one of the greatest games ever, in my opinion. Originally for the PS2. And they're doing a full HD remake, ground up remake, so I hope they redo some of the controls for that and yada yada yada. But awesome.
Here, I'm pulling this shit up right now.
Monster Hunter.
Spider-Man. Oh god.
Monster
Sorry,
Hunter
go ahead.
World coming to PS4. It's cool. The Monster Hunter is coming back to console, and it's coming. I think it's going to be first coming to PS4, but the gameplay did look a little clunky. But I know Monster Hunter has its own like niche and furious fandom, so that's cool. What I do want to talk about was Days Gone. Days
It
Gone.
looks awesome to me.
They did a demo of it. The things for me, it's like, okay, you draw a lot of parallels to The Last of Us. It's a similar graphic style. I mean, realistic graphic style. It's in the, I think it's out in the, like, Pacific Northwest. I want to say that's where it's set.
Yep. I believe so.
But it looks like they're trying to do some cool stuff with gameplay. You know, they're doing some of that like pseudo open world stuff where you can kind of, you know, pseudo open level. It's Uncharted experimented with Last of Us, where you kind of have options. In the demo, they showed him tracking down one of his buddies who'd been captured by a rival, not a rival, just by someone else while he's looking for supplies. And they showed him getting on his bike and taking off down the road. There was some they showed something they showed that was new. They showed some like zombie dogs, almost like in The Last of Us, animals weren't really afflicted, but in this they had some wolves in the very beginning that were afflicted, and he had to shoot one down. Like, it was running so fast up along his motorcycle, and they got taken down by a rope. Had some hand-to-hand combat, which looked pretty fun. It looked, you know, there again, you could draw the parallels to Last of Us. But then he went to infiltrate this camp, and they had actually hung up some of the zombies in this game. You know, they were called infected in Last of Us. In this, they're called freakers. They're definitely much faster. But they had hung some of them up as almost like a early sound cue thing for them as a trap. So he was like crawling through them and stabbing them. They set up a bear trap, chucked a rock. Some guy went to go check out what happened, got his foot stuck in the trap, and distracted a bunch of people. He got past, you know, and then he finds his buddy. Eventually, he blows up this, you know, he takes a C4 or explosive that it looks like he made, crafting element, it seems like, and blew up this barrier that they had made after he snuck past the freakers, and the freakers ran through and basically took everyone out for him. Now, what I will say, it seemed very technically impressive. The freakers look like they move in hordes and they move fast, but they didn't all look like they were running with the same animation, if that makes sense. They all looked like they were acting independently in their own way. So it looked very Cheese, are you watching some of it right now?
I am, literally right now.
All right, cool. So I think you'll notice once he crawls through, you see some of the freakers. It just looks like there's a lot on screen at once. It looks very technically impressive.
Was it last year, or was it the Sony that we saw this?
They showed.
I feel like it was Sony.
I think they showed this at E3 last year, but it was just like a very brief trailer. Oh no, yeah. They showed the huge hordes. It was like almost like a tech demo. It was at E3.
That's what I was gonna say about the game.
It looks.
But
the
that
crowd control of the game is just unreal compared to last
yeah,
month.
Yeah.
so
These
every
hordes of zombies instill fear.
yeah, so it seems like they're taking a different approach in the sense where like maybe you'll have more ammo and you can actually mow some of these down, or you can like set traps and that looks like, or you can use them to your advantage like they did in
Well,
this
yeah. And
gameplay
from what I
demo.
remember from E3 last year is he used the environment a lot of the time.
Yeah,
to,
he
like
like
slow
threw
them
down
down.
logs and yeah.
Yeah.
And like I don't think that was completely representative of all the gameplay, because they came out and said like we had that many zombies on this or freakers on the screen
That looks
everywhere,
as horrifying.
just to show you like what we could
Right.
do.
Right.
And it looks like they actually, they've developed some more of that gameplay. And then at the very end, this huge fucking zombie freaker bear, whatever, infected bear comes up too, and it looked like they were about to have to deal with that, and then it flashed Days Gone, and no date. So the running theme in this conference, even though what they showed seemed compelling, was either 2018 date. And these are games that we've seen before, and a lot of us have been waiting, and we want something to play this fall, exclusive wise, because what's to come on the PS4 looks amazing. But it almost feels like they pulled the trigger a year too early to play on their momentum, and now they're almost paying for it, because a lot of the consensus is people are disappointed they had nothing new to show, but everything's in development. For me, it's just like, okay, I'll wait for it, but it's just like, man, I wish we had some dates for these, or I wish I had something this fall. What
Yeah, like are they gonna drop all of this awesome content?
a lot of it's early
on us at
2018.
One,
So,
at one time.
well, they also showed us God of War,
Yep.
and God of War was early 2018. God of War looked amazing. They showed us they ended the conference with Spider-Man, which looks awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah, a lot of, and here's something, another thing I'll say. A lot of people bitched about QTEs, like quick time events, like driving forward combat and stuff. I just don't get that argument. If you want to have like some cinematic gameplay, like if you want to be a part of some of the set pieces, like bursting through buildings and you see something about to fall on you, like shit like that, rather than just make it a cutscene, the only way you can do it is with QTEs. And if they do it correctly, I think it'll be fine. And they also showed some of the regular combat and like fighting using some of the environment. It looked like almost Batman style with Spider-Man's own style thrown in there. And it's like, okay, I think you need to forgive some of the problems you may have with QTEs in order to see some of the cool shit they want to show you.
My issues with how they're done. Like, don't make me push a 3-button macro. Make me swing the stick in certain directions that makes me feel like I'm throwing the punch. Like, I'm all about quick time events, but like, make it feel like I'm doing more than just being a button pusher in your cutscene. Like, make me feel like the quick time event is something related to how well I swung the punch wide or something like that. I don't know. It just seems so robotic.
Well, the thing is, he wasn't punching or anything.
Well, I'm just saying in general with quick time events. I'm not saying this specific example, but like, I don't know. It'd be cool if like you actually like, like when a quick time event had to do with a gun or something like that, like have me pull the trigger instead of pressing B and then A, or like just in some games that's how the quick time events boil down.
Have you watched this gameplay yet? I know you didn't have a chance.
I've not watched Spider.
I don't know. I would be
absurd how good it looks.
I would be interested to have you watch it and then tell me what you think, because they do have some button pressing moments, but I just don't know if there's any other way to like really accomplish what they're doing without putting those events in, other than completely taking any of your agency out of it, and and just having it be a cutscene. And by doing quick time events, they can basically transition you.
I'm cool with cutscenes.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a general consensus or not, but I love cutscenes.
I like.
You
Well,
put down your controller for a second, take a drink of water, maybe smoke a cigarette or whatever else you're doing, and watch the story unfold. That's why I don't like open world games either.
I like cutscenes as much as the next guy, but sometimes for sequences where you're, all right, let's say you're battling and then a bunch of destruction needs to happen, like some buildings are crushing and stuff. You might not get there on your own, or they would take it out of your hands with a cutscene, or they can transition you, keep the controller in your hand, and you get up there. I don't know. Just I would encourage you to watch it and tell me what you think of it. But I think in this situation it's handled correctly. Like
Sure.
I
No,
don't
I'm
I
not
don't
saying
think
that it's
I don't
not.
it doesn't I don't think they're gonna beat you over the head with it. They were just trying to show you a set piece, and that's just what's gonna happen in the scenario. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm like because we were talking a little bit about in Days Gone, or yeah, about it being like, like kind of like the little bit of decision open world game. Those are my favorite, man. Like when you're making a video game, like give me what you want out of it. Don't force me to find it. And I love games like that. So hopefully we get some more of the same out of, and that's what it looks like a lot of the PS4 games end up being, for the most part. So
Like
I
really
like
good
their
story
exclusives.
driven. And
Yeah, really
I
good story driven, like maybe some decision, but I don't know, man. I'm a sucker for games like what Days Gone looks like, where like they've got a point, they've got a mission to get you on, and they want to get you there. And
it's
they'll give you some different ways to do it, but they're gonna get you there, and you're gonna get what they want you to get out of the game, and that's all I
it's
ask for.
Days Gone is open world, but they said a lot of the emphasis is put on Deacon, I think his name is, uh, and his like psyche over the course of Breakout, and I don't know. I think that they're trying to basically say like there's a lot of story baked in. Don't worry, sort of thing.
Yeah,
So I think you're right, and you should keep an eye. It does seem like it's in your
just
wheelhouse.
just the way that the gameplay trailer I saw looked. It looked like when you got to the mission, it took away the open world elements and had a set narrative for you. Versus like, here's this area with a bandit camp. Do what you can to get rid of them and save the dude. No, it was like, here's what we baked into this entire like, map icon, and it's this whole just complete different zone and feel to it. This is
Mhm.
how I got. That's what I got from it, at least. But we'll see what happens.
The one thing I did want to say is you were talking about everything being dropped on us at once. Cheese.
Mhm.
I think some of the reason that some of this is early 2018 is because they had to make space, and the reason they had to make space is because of their third-party partners, and I'm specifically talking about Call of Duty and Destiny. They're both coming out this fall, and they don't want to anger their business partnerships, and also, because if you spend $60 on one game, you'll have $60 for another, obviously. Um, and it's like, okay, they
It's
invested heavily in these
good point.
uh, third party games that are getting content first on their consoles during the fall. Is there room for one of our exclusives in there, or do we push into early 2018 where there might be a little bit of a vacuum after all the releases in the fall, and we may have more guaranteed money? Like look at Horizon, look at
I get like that makes perfect sense to me.
it
That
doesn't make it better for us.
all
I'm just
that math. Well, that was what I was going to say. Is that
yeah,
as a consumer, I'm still nervous. Like 2018 is an exciting, like super exciting for
yeah.
games and what's on the like on the horizon. But as a consumer, like, and one that makes a modest living, like, I want to. There's like probably half a dozen just right now that I can think of. I'm going to buy.
Yeah.
And if they're like right on top of one another, like.
Oh, see, but Sony's smarter than that. I don't think they're going to put their games on top of it. I think we at least see
Yeah.
like 2 to 3 months between their big
I would
releases.
hope
At
that's
least
true. Yeah.
like God of War and Spider-Man, they're not going to be released close. I can
'Cause
guarantee
I
that.
know it wasn't, I know Rockstar wasn't there, and it's not Sony, but Red Dead's coming up.
Yeah,
There's more, but I can't think of right now. But yeah,
yeah.
I think the big thing about it is if they didn't talk about it early 2018, they had nothing to talk about. So they talked about it early 2018 because they had nothing to talk about,
Yeah.
which is fine. They're not releasing a whole new console like Microsoft is.
I'm okay with
They're-
waiting because
they're-
these all
they're-
look like
they're-
quality
they're
titles.
not Nintendo that can get away with anything if they stick their IP on it, which I'm fine with. But I'm just saying they can do that.
Well,
They're not a publisher themselves, so they can't show you other stuff that they're doing. Like the best they can do is show you the DLC they got packaged and ready to go, and then they give you teasers because they literally have nothing else
Yeah.
to show you because they really don't have to do anything right now. Like,
Yeah.
cool, we got some sweet teasers. I was excited for that. I wanted them to do that sort of stuff because right now they're so far ahead in all this bullshit that they don't give a damn. So at least they gave a damn and showed us some cool gameplay features of what's to come. Because like they really have nothing to fucking do right now.
yeah, for me it's just like they've built a lot of goodwill this generation, and I feel like they're somewhat whittling away at some of that. Like they pulled the trigger on showing that Final Fantasy VII remake way too early. It's not going to be ready for a long time, and they showed it way too early. It wasn't at E3 this year. They talked about Shenmue 3 because everyone wanted it. That's not going to be coming out for a long time. You know, they showed Death Stranding. That wasn't
Death
E3 because that's a
Stranding,
long
oh,
time.
Christ.
They showed The Last of Us Part 2. All of a sudden, like, they've got these huge media cycles for these games, and people are like, I can see it. I can see it in the conversations online. People are kind of just like, all right, man, like, but where is it? You know? Especially with how fickle they, like, you keep showing us games with no end in sight. Like, stop hanging it over our heads and let us play them, you know? Sometimes I wonder if they would have held off one or two of those announcements. I don't know.
What's the difference though? Like, what are these people gonna do? Go buy an Xbox for their
No,
like,
exactly.
games?
So they,
You know, so it's like I get it, but
yeah,
like,
they
kinda
got
how you
exactly
felt
what they
about
wanted.
Bethesda is how I feel about this. Is like, you know, like I get that you're mad.
No, I'm not mad. I'm just saying.
No, not you. I'm just saying as general though, like people are, you know, like starting to get like mad at their goodwill or whatever. It's like,
Well, the
yeah,
Death Stranding was just parading their new trophy wife around too. Like,
yeah.
like
I
hey,
don't know.
look who
Well,
we
but
have.
they have to
They
think.
don't upset me.
You're right. They're parading Kojima out there, and yeah, that's a very good point, Cheese, because they could take them and be like, hey, we made a partnership with them, and all of a sudden, like, boom, they've got sales out of that because everyone wants to play Kojima's next game.
Yeah.
But that's what they did with everything. Like, oh, we've got this game that this franchise you like, we're bringing it back, and someone's like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a PS4 because I know that's coming out, and all of a sudden it feels like shit. We bought all these people that bought their consoles are now just sitting here waiting for their games. And we just keep getting, all right, just wait, guys. It's coming next year. It's coming next year.
I'm as excited as anybody for Last of Us 2, but that like, when was that? That was a year ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. They showed it last year.
First teaser? Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah.
And we're a year removed maybe from that game yet. Like, that's insane.
Yep.
At least they didn't throw a completely new console at you and say, "Hey, you're gonna need to buy this." If you
they
want to
did,
have our
but
gaming experience."
they did that in December with
They
PS4
did it,
Pro.
but it's not to the. But it's not like your old console's insufficient anymore. The Xbox is so far behind on what it can do with its base version that I don't even know if they're gonna be able to produce games on that in 2 years.
I don't know. We'll see. The Xbox One S is actually a pretty decent update. It's
Sure, but that's still an update over the pre-existing one that's like light years ahead. Whereas like the PS1 or the PS4S is like the same as like the regular PS4, and it'll still be able to play all these games. I don't know, man.
Somewhat. We'll see. I don't think.
The facts of E3 always tend to be that, like, you know what? This industry sucks for a consumer, but God, when they release those good games, it feels perfect. So that's how E3 is every year, man. It's like all this sweet stuff. It's dude, it's like going to a strip club, man. You're not taking any of them home, but damn, it's cool to look. And like eventually, maybe one day you find your own girl, and then you get her and you get to.
Yeah, really.
Not a bad.
It's
parallel.
Hopefully, we get to take her home in a year too. I don't know. Fuck it.
Yeah, no, that's actually spot on.
It was fun to watch. So
I don't know. I was just I was only saying.
Signals out, baby. Like, come on, do more. You know.
I was only saying they're wasting some of their goodwill because I don't know, if they deliver on these experiences, everyone will forget about the wait, and it looks like they're going to, but there might, it just depends if a couple of these don't land in the way people want, like Final Fantasy VII and Shenmue and stuff. Next console that comes around, maybe they're not getting a Sony one. Who knows? Like, maybe they take. Well, yeah. So they got to keep their goodwill up. Along some of the other stuff PlayStation's been doing, like refusing any of this, like, so at Microsoft's conference they own Minecraft, and they talked about opening up so basically if you have it on Xbox or PC or iPad or mobile, you can all play on the same servers, which is awesome, but not PS4 because Sony wouldn't play ball. And the reason we can't play with Xbox players on Rocket League, Sony wouldn't play ball. And the reason we can't play with Switch users on Rocket League, Sony wouldn't play ball. And it makes sense because they're top dog, and why should they want to share their user base to people that need it, to their competitors that need it more than they do. But at the same time, like, you look at everyone in the, people have wanted name changes forever. People want to play with, some crossplay stuff when other people, and then when other companies are saying, like, yeah, we're willing, but they're not, it looks bad for them, even though they don't have to. So slowly, very slowly, their goodwill is wasting away.
And also, you look, the processing power has just gotten blown out of the water if the Xbox the 420 no scope is as good as it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but
And that was their big selling point, was that they're the better processing power, other than their exclusives, obviously. But you know,
I guess I wanted to end what I wanted to say about Sony is with and PlayStation is with a word of warning. Because you look at what happened after the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2, one of the most widely successful consoles of all time. I think it's top 5. Sold so many. And then Microsoft came out with the Xbox 360 a year before them, and they were still riding. They still felt like they were top dog. PS2 was still it's sold way into the life of the PS3 and Xbox even. And they came out and did that E3 press conference. $599 US for the PS3, and everyone went, "What the fuck?" And just like that, their bridges were burnt, and they were playing catch up that whole generation. And then Microsoft sold all those Xboxes. They were the top dogs. They had all the third party partnerships, all the third party. They had Call of Duty. They had them at it, like any of the commercials you saw on TV. You saw an Xbox logo at the end. And then what did they do? They came out Xbox One. It's your all-in-one entertainment system, and also there's DRM, because this is what you need and it's the future. And the consumers are like, wait, no, fuck you. Their goodwill was gone. Well, now look who's top dog again because they took advantage of it. It's Sony. And look at what they're doing. They're playing the top dog card again, and all of a sudden, like, all you have to do, dude, history is important because you learn from it. And it just looks like they're not ready to learn from it yet, even though it almost looks like they're God, what's the name of that show? Like Pleasantville or something, where like everyone's smiling, like, oh, but it's like super dark behind the scenes.
Oh, that movie.
Yeah,
Isn't it a movie? Yeah.
It's like Tobey Maguire or some shit.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But it's almost like, hey, we're good for the consumer and we care about games and stuff. But then you see him make shitty business moves and delay stuff, and all of a sudden, slowly that goodwill's chipped away, and all it takes is one false step, and you lose all the goodwill and everything that you've built up, and the competitor snatches in. So I guess my word of warning is just like, look out, man. Like, you just gotta look out, because X gonna give it to you. That's all I gotta say. No, I'm just kidding. X gonna give it to you. Spread time. Anyway, I think that's a good point to wrap it up. We're about an hour and 15 minutes. There's plenty more games and a lot more shit to talk about. We didn't even get to some of Nintendo stuff. Mainline Pokemon game on the Switch, Metroid Prime 4, which is
what's going
awesome.
on with my
You look fine over here on this end. Stuff move. Both move.
Yeah, that's weird.
Anyway, make sure you guys are following the YouTube channel or subscribing to the YouTube channel, YouTube.com/Grenades and Goblins. I know I keep talking about being more consistent, and I swear we're getting there. Very slowly getting.
Right.
Yeah, I have the first granted recorded. Oh, it was terrible.
What is it?
It's called granted. It's Greg granted, but it'll work.
Okay. He can't even say the title of his own show.
You sounds like you're convincing yourself of something.
It could work.
But yeah, granted, dude. Don't take it for granted.
All right, I like that.
But it's all one take. So for me to have a heated rant, because it's Greg granted, and not drop as many F-bombs as I want to, I actually did not want to swear at all in it, so that way I could show it off to my unborn children, because they're kind of sensitive. Yeah, so it's gonna be cool.
All
right. Despite all of that, follow us on twitch.tv/Grenades and Goblins. And as I said, the aforementioned YouTube channel, and check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/Grenades Goblins, no and we'll probably be talking a lot more E3 next week, hopefully Monday. I don't know, I might be out of town. I don't know what's going on. We've got some shit going on in my life.
Ass over the next few days.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that consistency, but you got to bear with us.
I can't stream Thursday.
So
sorry, that was the wrong time.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about that. Anyway, I'm It's Bread Time, the host of this shit show, and I've been joined by Subliminal Cheese. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
And Wayne Gretzky. Hang out and go to Subliminal Cheese channel, twitch.tv/Cheese, or stream if you're. He is going to be doing that shortly. Good night.
Peace.
Oh yeah, see you guys. It's like, if I'm gonna start here,
like some machine guns better, and if I'm gonna move out there, like I need to find this rifle.
Ooh,
Or,
that's a good.
you know, like where you have some sort of like I know that rock paper scissors meta games are like not necessarily beloved, but I think with the differing terrains and everything like that, there's already clearly some sort of like rock paper scissors nature to it. Like if we're